Bart woke up to find he couldn't see anything. Homer peeled the tape off Bart's eyes and told him it was April Fool's Day. Bart then went to the fridge and grabbed a bottle of milk. He took a sip and immediately knew something was off. That was when he realized Homer had been up to his tricks again. The milk had been sitting next to the stove for an entire month. Bart swore he would get Homer back that very day. Homer, however, was utterly convinced that Bart could never fool him. Meanwhile, Bart hid in the shadows, scheming. He soon figured out that Homer's one true weakness was beer, though he hadn't yet worked out how to use it against him.
Whew! It's a good thing that beer wasn't shaken up anymore, or I'd have looked quite the fool. An April fool, as it were.
Bart headed to the hardware store and put a beer can on a machine to shake it thoroughly. Once it was well shaken, he carefully placed it back in the fridge. At that moment, Homer was on the couch munching snacks and watching TV. He was thirsty, but had no intention of getting up to grab a drink. Growing impatient, Bart cranked the house's thermostat up to its highest setting. Everything in the house began to melt, yet Homer still wouldn't budge, not until a beer commercial came on TV, at which point he finally hauled himself up and headed to the kitchen. Bart dashed over at once, eager to watch the spectacle unfold. Homer ended up in the hospital. The doctors fought to save him, and while he survived, he might never walk again.
Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream.
Homie!
Marge!
His body was in terrible shape. His brain had suffered severe trauma, and his brain waves were abnormal. Marge looked at the doctor and thought he seemed familiar, only to realize he was a veterinarian.
That's right. And for an extra $20, I'll give Homer a tick bath and then spay him.
Here you go, Doc. Bart! Shop around. You can't beat that price.
Homer was left bedridden. When Moe heard the news, he came straight to visit, even bringing beer along. But Homer now had a deep psychological aversion to the sight of it. In an effort to speed up his recovery, the doctors encouraged Homer to get on his feet. Homer wouldn't so much as twitch, insisting he simply couldn't do it. Every method the doctors tried proved useless. Then Homer spotted a chocolate vending machine. He lost himself in a fantasy, a world overflowing with chocolate, an endless supply of it every single day, where even the utility poles on the street were made of chocolate. Driven by this vision, Homer actually stood up. He shuffled over and fed a coin into the machine, but the chocolate got stuck. Homer flew into a rage and began punching and kicking the machine. A second later, it toppled over and landed right on top of him.
Sweet chocolate, falling off air. Nuts.
Homer slipped into a deep coma. Burns arrived at the hospital shortly after. Homer's care was costing him $5,000 a day, so Burns decided to pull the plug on his oxygen supply. Dr. Hibbert objected, but Dr. Nick examined Homer and found no signs of life, concluding the oxygen tube had to go.
Yoink!
Mr. Burns, how can you be so cold-hearted?
Lisa sat by the bedside and talked to Homer, hoping the sound of her voice would bring him back. She even composed a piece of music just for him, yet Homer remained unconscious. Seeing this, Bart walked over and apologized to his father. He knew he wasn't a good kid. He was always getting into trouble and making his parents angry, but Homer had always been patient with him. Bart told Homer the truth. He had shaken that beer can on purpose. At that moment, Homer's body responded. His monitor flickered and displayed an image of Bart's face. The instant Homer heard this, his eyes snapped open and his